Let me be very frank on this point, because this is, I left, I finished my tenure of CA at the end of 2009. And in the next few years, I started hearing very disturbing stories based in Washington. I mean, these started reaching me in Washington, that things were not well with this sector. And we know when I say that, with the public sector banks, and which on my return has been confirmed. Much of the problem occurred in the couple of 2, 3, 4 years after 2009. And they occurred in the public sector banks largely. One simple calculation I give is that the public sector's NPAs were roughly, I think, around 10%. The private was around 3%. Roughly speaking, that 7% can be attributed to this mismanagement which I have just hinted at. Okay? So now the problem is that we have tried to reform the public sector banking system many times, and it improves for a while and then reverts back. I can tell you, under Narasimha Rao, those 2, 3, 4 years, there was big positive change, but it doesn't last. Okay? For example, for the first time ever, they put professionals as directors on banks. Okay? I was, for example, appointed because I was an economist. I was appointed as director. I was director on 3 or 4 public banks. So there was a deliberate attempt to move away from appointment of political appointees as directors, party members, etc., to professionals, but didn't last long. So the fundamental problem remains: as long as government owns and runs these banks, you get temporary improvements and then that deteriorates. Some other new minister comes in or whatever happens. I don't want to be personal about it. So the fundamental problem is, yes, that problem has not been addressed. These temporary solutions work for a while. You can have better people run it, maybe 3 years he's there, then it's back to the same old thing. You have to denationalize the banks. You have to get private ownership into it. As long as they are more than 51% owned by the government, this problem will arise periodically. Again, it's a fundamental problem of ownership by government, because government ownership is abstract. It's not an abstract thing. No, there's a minister who's in charge. So you have a good minister, you have a bad minister, they have political pressures. This happens all the time. So I don't want to blame any particular individual. It is not a question of individual or party. It's just the incentive structure of that is not good. It won't work for long. So the NPA problem clearly has to be solved in combination. I mentioned the high real interest rates. These two have combined to basically kill credit to business. So clearly that is harming investment generally, including the part of investment we said for structures and households, etc., because both these issues affect that investment. So both investment and in the recent past, even the lending for household lending for consumer durables was affected. So it's an important issue which I think now finally it is in the process of being resolved, which is a good thing.